Paul Rusesabagina was the inspiration behind the film Hotel Rwanda. He's currently detained in Kigali, where he faces life imprisonment for terrorism-related charges that he denies. The 67-year-old activist says he was tricked into boarding a chartered flight in August that was thought was going to Burundi. Instead, he ended up behind bars in Rwanda. Time now for the exchange, where we asked the Rwandan government about its alleged involvement in the spyware scandal. Earlier, I spoke to the country's Justice Minister, Johnston Busingye, and asked him to respond to the allegations. Our interview has been trimmed for time and clarity. Take a listen. Minister Busingye, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for taking the time. I want to start off with the issue of Pegasus spyware. The Rwandan government put out a statement categorically denying the use of the spyware, and you've said that you don't have the capabilities to use this kind of technology. But on the record, have you ever purchased this spyware and ever used the spyware?
Thank you, Eleni, for having me. Rwanda has neither purchased nor deployed that spyware. And that's the statement, that's the content of the statement that we issued a couple of days ago.
And one of the central parts of the spyware and Amnesty International's investigation, one of the revelations was that the Rwandan government had specifically targeted Paul Rusesabagina's daughter, Karine. And many revelations came out of this. Have you ever tracked or spied on or listened to any of Karine's conversations?
No, we didn't. We don't, and I don't find any reason at all why we would do that. First of all, I also know that Karine's number was not in any of the numbers, the 50,000 wired numbers that were said to have been in the hands of those who found them.
So Amnesty International has given us a bit of insight because we asked them why Karine's number wasn't in that initial list. And they said to us in a statement, it is true that Karine's number was not on the list. The data did not cover that time period around and after the arrest of her father by the Rwandan authorities. But our forensic evidence shows clearly that her phone was repeatedly targeted with NSO's Pegasus spyware. The list is irrelevant in Karine's case, as we have forensic proof of compromise. So, Minister, here, while you're saying you've never used or bought the spyware, this investigation by Amnesty International and various teams have also been peer-reviewed. Are you going to be taking recourse against Amnesty International and the like that have put out this information that you say is not true?
Let me make it a point clear. If anybody doubts that we did not use, anybody doubts that we used Pegasus, the NSO exists. I think NSO should be asked to verify and to confirm or decline to say whether we have this spyware or not. We did not purchase and we did not use it.
Let's talk about the arrest of Rusesabagina. And many questions have come to the fore. Why did the Rwandan government not follow the formal extradition process?
The arrest of Rusesabagina did not violate one single law or rule of international law. He's here legally. He has been having his trial legally. So there are many ways
why didn't you follow the formal? But why not follow the formal international extradition process instead of opting to lure him into the country, as you have yourself said, by a friend, someone that was involved in the investigation, and paying for the plane itself to come into Rwanda? There's a formal process that perhaps would have avoided all the questions that now come with why you opted to take the route to trick him into Kigali.
Yeah, but tricking a criminal you are looking for is not criminal, Eleni. So I don't see why we should be asked, why didn't you do this and you did that? What we did is perfectly legal and it doesn't violate any international law.
So the reason I ask this, Minister, is because the Human Rights Watch, and we've heard from many bodies as well, saying that because the Rwandan authorities circumvented the legal process of extradition, it brings into question or undermines their claim, your claim, to the legitimacy and good faith of your efforts to prosecute him. What is your response to that?
It does not. It does not. What Rusesabagina faced in court are very, very specific charges relating to terror activity, terror attacks that were mounted in southwestern Rwanda, where 9 people, including 2 children, were killed, 7 of them killed by shooting and 2 of them getting burnt. So the evidence that was presented in court is impeccable evidence, and we let the remaining part for the courts. As for what Human Rights Watch
but Minister, if you have this watertight evidence, why not work with the Belgian authorities to extradite him?
Yeah, but I told you, Eleni, that luring a criminal you are looking for does not violate any international law.
So let's talk then about the man. And in an interview on another network, you had said you'd referred to him as Rusesabagina's friend. He was part of the investigation, that you had worked with him, you'd paid for the plane. What exactly is Rwanda's government's relationship with this man, who is also a bishop? And the big question that now has come to the fore is why he didn't testify under oath. Was he given immunity for luring in Rusesabagina into Kigali?
No, I think that man was a contact of our investigation bureau, and what happened in the courts is really the business of the courts. Why he did not testify under oath, or whether anybody requested that he does that, or why the court took his evidence as not on oath, that is the business of the court, and I do not think I want to get into it here.
Why was he denied access to his international lawyers?
Well, I am really not in position to get into why why he was denied or wasn't denied. The question of lawyers and who they represent and in which country depends on many agreements between bar associations in the different countries. I believe that where he stays, where he has permanent residence in San Antonio, Texas, I believe lawyers from Texas wouldn't go to another state in the United States to represent him or represent someone else. So there are rules in the bar associations, the professions of lawyers.
Yeah, but did Rwanda deny him getting his own personal lawyers? And, you know, from my understanding, you gave him a list of local lawyers that he had to pick from. So he wasn't forced into picking local lawyers. He always had access to any lawyer he wanted from any jurisdiction.
Yeah, but it doesn't work like that. It's not like you outsource everything and Rwanda can tell the bar association in the United States or in Belgium, please send someone here.
International lawyers have said that they wanted to represent him and they were stopped. They weren't able to. So his international lawyers have said that they want to represent him and they weren't allowed to.
Yeah, but if there were rules, it's not Rwanda which did not allow them.
Minister, I have read through the EU resolutions, the European Parliament resolutions on Rwanda in this specific case. I've been looking at the Human Rights Watch. I've been reading about what the trial watcher is saying. And right now, it doesn't look like there's a fair trial on the go. I know that you are streaming this live at the moment so people can watch. And again, I ask you, what assurances can you give that this is a fair trial, that the private documents, legal documents that are going to the accused are not being intercepted and read and used against him in trial and in court, and that this is going to be a watertight, fair process?
This trial, in my view, as I've been watching, I've been observing what's going on, it's the fairest trial you'll ever find in terms of all the fair trial standards that the international community, international legal community goes by.
All right, a big thank you to the Rwandan Justice Minister, Johnston Busingye, for joining the program and giving us his time. We should also note that NSO is denying responsibility in the Pegasus spyware scandal.